Okay. And one other toast, again, once more, for your hosts, Howard and Ruth Glenn, who are celebrating their 60th anniversary. Well, you know what they say about people who've been married for 60 years? They're old. Real old. And they met a long, long time ago. They met after the war. Kaiser Wilhelm had been defeated. You know, Dad grew up poor. And when the war started, he wanted to join the military and become a doughboy. But he didn't have enough dough. Say, are there any history buffs here? Okay, Toby. Do you know what started World War I? What was that? Right, it was the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. And because of all the mutual defense treaties of all the countries in Europe, the whole world went to war. So we know what happened. The Archduke was assassinated, but why? Why was he assassinated? Well, I'll tell you why. You see, there was a dispute going on for many, many years. His family had been accused of being complicit in the kidnapping and disappearance of a baby princess of the Habsburgs. Now, of course, even though his family was accused of that, we know what really happened. It was a band of gypsies that stole the baby princess, and being chased, they end up at a shtetl and drop the little baby princess off in front of on the doorstep of a rabbi. And that rabbi raised her and eventually married her, and they had like 10 kids, and one of them was the grandmother of Grandma Celia, Dad's mom. So, even though the Serbs got the blame for the assassination, the truth of it is that our family started World War I. Now, Ellen Doppelt's not here, but when we were at Marty and Linda's 20th anniversary, I was sitting at the table with them, with Bobby and Ellen and Mark and Elliot, and Ellen said to me, "What is it with this Glenn name? How did the Glens get that name?" She said, "I heard something like Aunt Muriel wanted to be in showbiz and change her name." Well, you know, I did some research on this, and the thing is, I know that when Aunt Betty married Uncle Norman, she was a Goldstein. She was not a Glenn. And Aunt Muriel was older than her, because when Dad's name got changed, he was a minor. But the other two were adults, so their name wouldn't have been changed. So we know it wasn't that. And then we have another story that when Grandpa Harry Goldstein was working at Sears Roebuck, they were interested in making him a manager. And they said, "Well, we can't have a Goldstein as a manager, so change your name." And that's why the name got changed. But we also hear that they subsequently decided not to make him a manager. So let's all give a big boo to Sears Roebuck, okay? But that's not what happened either. It's not true. I'll tell you what happened. See, Grandma Celia was really concerned because everybody in Europe was really upset with our family starting World War I. And so she insisted that Rabbi Harry changed the name to something that wasn't so Jewish, so that her grandson, me, everybody would confuse my last name with my first name. So thank you, Grandma Celia, for that. So now that I've let out the secret about our family starting World War I, and Grandma Celia being concerned about agents in Europe, getting even with us, now that the secret's out, you all have to change your name. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Howard and Ruth Smith. Give them applause. And Chucky, Don, and Robbie Smith, how do you do? Nice meeting you. And Marty and Linda Smith, nice meeting you. Everybody say hello to all the Smith family. Okay. So, Mom grew up poor. Are you noticing a pattern here? Dad grew up poor and Mom grew up poor.
But everyone's poor.
And she grew up on a farm in Fairfield, Montana, the only Jewish family for like 100 square miles. Well, that's okay when you're a kid. But what happens when you grow up into a young woman and looking for an eligible Jewish man? Well, the problem was, see, for her, the only eligible Jewish men were her brothers, Norman and Charles. And that just wasn't going to do, was it, Mom? No. So, when she got old enough, she decided to move to the big city. She moved to Pixley, Montana, just on the other side of the county line from Hooterville, Montana. But, Mom, there weren't any eligible Jewish men in Pixley, were there? Unfortunately, no. So then she decided to make a really big move to a really big city. She moved to Chicago. And there, she fell head over heels for this really handsome guy he had. Muscles. Looked great in a bathing suit. But he didn't care for her, so she settled for Dad. Ah, yes. Young love. So, even back then, Dad had really bad vision. So when they would go out on dates, Mom would have to pick him up in her horse and buggy. And they loved to go out dancing. And the two of them, their favorite dance was the Macarena of its day. They did the hokey pokey. You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out, you put your right... Well, you know how it goes. Yeah, Mom tells me Dad was really good at the hokey pokey. Right, Mom?
Oh, yeah. Oh, he wasn't, okay.
He wasn't great at hokey pokey?
No, he wasn't good at
Excuse me, he wasn't good at the hokey pokey. He was good at hanky panky.
Oh, my God.
Aha! Now, back then, of course, they didn't have cell phones with unlimited texting. No, so, when they wanted to communicate, they had to use the digital communication of its day, the telegram. So what would happen is there'd be a knock at Mom's door. Telegram for Ruth Storman from Howard Glenn. And she'd open it up, and it would say, "What's up?" And then about 6 hours later, there'd be a knock at Howard's door. Western Union, telegram for Howard Glenn from Ruth Stormland. And he'd open it up and it'd say, I don't know, LOL. Now, this was a real concern to their family because, you know, they were poor. And telegrams back then were crazy expensive. And, you know, time went by, and they were just such a great couple. And they would do things together, and, you know, it would be like Mom would start saying something, and Dad would complete the sentence. Mom would eat beans, and Dad would fart. Yes, they were made for each other. And I guess they decided two poor people could live as cheaply as one. So on July 6th, 1952, they decided to get married. And 8 months later, on March 3rd, 1953, I was born prematurely. Hey, I'm turning 60 on March 3rd, folks. Well, I guess, you know, three poor people could live as cheaply as one. And I gotta tell you something. You know, these two wonderful people struggled. I remember Mom worked for Mrs. Sines and the Oppenheims. Dad was a masseur at the Biltmore Hotel, and when we were very young, he went to chiropractor school. And then we really were poor because he couldn't work as a masseur. And they had two other children, my gorgeous sister Lauren and my gorgeous sister Greta. And time went by, and Dad became a success as a chiropractor. And they have lived to see 6 grandchildren, Jasmine and Jolie, Nikki and Tyler, Sabrina and Annie, and 2 great-grandchildren, Kennedy and Preston.
She's hiding. She's embarrassed.
And they've reached this 60th anniversary celebration with friends and family. Now, in Judaism, we have a special prayer for events like this. It's called the Shehechianu. And it goes like this. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higyanu l'zman hazeh, which means, blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who created life, sustained us, and helped us to reach this special moment in time. And to that I think we can all say, Amen.